right, guys, long time no see, but I decided I want to make a video on this Argo that I'm working on for a client. So this is a 8x8. Oh, there are a lot of leaves in here. This is an 8x8 Argo. It needed a good tune-up. I don't know if it's really been tuned up ever in its life, but I've already kind of dug into it, so I am midway into the project. Not a big deal, just a tune-up. But I don't know what year this thing is. I'd have to look it up. But it's an Argo 8x8 response. I've always wanted to try one of these when I was a kid. I know these came out around like 2006 or something. I was around 10, 11 years old at that point, and I saw these in some magazines and on the internet, and I was like, whoa, that thing goes into the water and it goes on the land, and it's got 8x8 or 6x6 wheels. I always thought it was so cool. So this Argo, I already got the engine out. It ran, but it ran like crap. It ran on choke or half choke, and it didn't really rev up very well. And so I pulled the engine out. It's a Briggs & Stratton Vanguard. So the Vanguard is Briggs & Stratton's commercial engine. I work on these a lot at work, and they're an okay engine. I'm not really too impressed with them. As far as commercial goes, Kawasaki's really where it's at, but that's besides the point. I pulled it out because to service this engine, at least to change the oil, it's not very easy to get into. I wish I had. I'll show you guys what it looks like when I put it back in, but can't really get into it. So I pulled it out. I see there's a mouse nest in there, so we're gonna pull the fan cover off, and we'll clean the mouse nest out, and then we'll drain the oil, change the oil filter, because that was not an easy place to hit. And then we'll put it back in. I got spark plugs in order. They're not in yet, but I can change those once they come in, and a fuel filter. And I got air filter that's coming in, which I can do that last too. So let's change the oil in this thing, clean the mouse nest out. We're gonna pull the carburetor off. We're gonna clean that, and then we'll put it back in. And then it actually came in. So what happened is only one steering lever was working. So the way this thing works is that it's going forward or reverse no matter what. So you have to pull the lever, which is essentially a brake. You pull the brake to turn which way you want to go, and the right brake was not working. It blew a seal in the calipers. I already fixed that. I pulled that apart. There was an O-ring in there that was blown, so that seems to be working. I bled the brake, and then I went through and oiled the chain on this thing. So it runs off of a CVT to the secondary here to a gearbox here, which controls your right and left steering, and then you get your brake calipers here, and then it runs a chain to all the wheels back there. And there's there's the second wheel, first wheel's up here, and they just keep running chains off of each axle. So I just went through and used motor oil on those chains because they were dry and rusty crusty. And then I'm gonna go through and grease all those bearings up. And then there's actually a little, you can see the floor's wet, there's a little puncture right there. Unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure. I don't even know if the owners know that it's there. I'm going to try to patch that, and I'm just gonna let them know that it's probably not very waterborne anymore. But because it's starting to drain now, and it was full of leaves. I took all the floors out, but you can see on the bottom there, it's got nasty water in there. Videos have been very slow lately. Unfortunately, I wish I could do YouTube full time, but I just can't afford to do it. And I got a lot of projects I'm working on the side for clients, and it's just not always easy. I mean, it's not always easy because I do most of the video recording myself, and I do all the editing myself, and it takes a lot of time. You know, it takes a good 10 to 12 hours per video to make a good video. And I try to make the best quality videos that I can, so that's why sometimes these videos take longer. And I just don't have the time to do it at the moment, unfortunately. So I'm trying my best to get these out for you guys. I'm also working on a car that's taking up a lot of time as well. My brother, the scrub, helped me pull the engine out. I bought this car as a salvage unit, and the wire harness kind of had corrosion in it from the crash that was in several years ago, and the corrosion finally made its way up the line, and it's been giving me problems. So we're putting in a new wire harness, and it's been a struggle, I'll tell you that. It's not fun. And I'm working 40 to 50 hours a week, and then also say I got a Honda here. I'm not making a video on that, but it came in for a tune-up. I also got the Suzuki. I'm gonna make a video on that. I got the Suzuki 450 out back. So we're gonna go on a ride for that to finish up that video, but I got that going. So that's just a little update on the life. All right, got the cover off here. Not too bad. Yeah, mouse nest there. The other mouse nest I blew over there already. So yeah, we'll just pull this right out of there. Take the air hose, kind of blow out the fins. It's really important to check out your lawnmower engines every once in a while, especially over winter time. Mice like to make nests in these covers, and then they, you know, get insulation, leaves, whatever in there. Then you run it, it gets hot. Sometimes they catch on fire. Not a good time. And then they, yeah, they also like to chew on the wires that are in here. So I'm gonna check everything over. And I already got the oil drained, I got the new filter on, and then I'll clean this up a little bit. We'll pull the carburetor off, and then we'll slap it back in. So I just got the carburetor part. This is a little bit different style than what's kind of normal, but a carburetor is a carburetor nonetheless. I'm just kind of looking down in there. Yeah, it's definitely got some gel in there. This is a sign that the user was using normal regular gas in here, which with ethanol. Any engine that is fuel injected, you can use ethanol, no problem. Once you start introducing ethanol into carburetors, what happens is that the ethanol, these carburetors were not designed for ethanol, essentially. The materials that they're made out of, most of them, are not designed for ethanol. So ethanol, after a long periods of time, actually corrodes the carburetor and it creates this gel. I'm not entirely sure what the gel is, but that is ethanol corrosion. When I start using carb clean to clean the carburetor out, you'll start seeing a white powder inside these carburetors. That is ethanol that it has evaporated, and that can cause problems with your jets as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out all the jets that I can see. This carburetor is really funky looking, so I'm not entirely sure what all the jets are. I believe this jet right here is probably a low speed jet, and it looks like the main jet is down here on this carburetor. So I'm gonna have to pull that bolt out, pull that main jet out, and then I will clean up the needle, the seat, and all the channels and pathways that is in this carburetor. A lot of people don't realize that just because you clean the jet doesn't mean the carburetor's clean. You gotta clean all the pathways. So all these little holes generally have a place to go, and that's how I clean them. I clean them by hand, and if I can't clean them by hand, then I will dip them into an acid tank that I have at work, and that will seep its way into the channels. Some people use the supersonic cleaners. Haven't really used them. I don't know how well they work, but unfortunately in some of these weird lawnmower engines, you actually do have to take the intake tube off to get to the carburetor, because the bolts are actually on the bottom of the carburetor and there's no way to get to the actual carburetor because the flywheel's in the way. So unfortunately you actually have to take the cover off and everything to clean this carburetor. A lot of Kawasaki engines are like that actually, and it's kind of annoying, but this is the Briggs. All right, let's clean her up. Before I set the engine in, I just went through with my shop vac and I sucked as much of the leaves and water out as I could get out of it. I'm sure there's some leaves stuck in crevices here and there. It's been sitting outside for a while. Yeah, pretty much most of the water's out. There's still some scum and oil and crap down there. It's never gonna be perfect. I probably sucked out about 15 gallons worth of water out of this thing. So now that that's out, I will patch that little tiny hole. I think that's the only hole, but I'm gonna patch that. And so I got the engine back in. We're gonna mount it. I already got the belt, and I cleaned up the CVT clutches up a little bit. We'll mount the exhaust on there, and we'll bolt it down. We'll add some oil into it. I got the new air filter coming in later today. Got some spark plugs for it at some point. I don't think they're in yet. I'll put a new fuel filter on, and then we'll put some oil in it. We'll give it a little test run. I'm pretty confident that the carburetor's clean. And then we gotta adjust some cables and stuff because they had the throttle cable really loose. I got the chains all oiled up. I'm gonna go through and grease the bearings real quick too. Oh, crap. I gotta get whoever designed mounting this engine in here sucks. That was rough. It was not easy getting those 4 bolts to mount that engine in there. There's not a lot of room to get underneath of it. Anyways, I got everything hooked up that needs to be hooked up. I also gotta get the linkages hooked up for the choke and the throttle. So almost there, and then we'll fire it up. All right, I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. So it's got its own fuel pump, so the fuel lines are pretty much dry. So I'm gonna use a little bit of carb clean to get this thing primed. This thing has a fan here to keep the brakes cool because you're hitting these brakes all the time. So that's what that fan noise you're hearing is. Before I started messing with it, the battery's completely dead. Now I got the idle set, a little better. Maybe a touch high. Let's let it warm up and run for a little bit. I don't have the air cleaner on it right now. That will affect it a little bit. I got a new one coming in the mail. It's going to be here sometime today. That one's pretty bad. So just wanted to make sure that it's going to run good. And it seems like it's doing all right. The idle's maybe a touch off yet. What's nice about this style carburetor is that I can just pull it off right here and clean most of it. So if I have to clean it again, I can do that. I'm just gonna let it run for a little bit. It should run on its own. I'm hoping it stays idling. I can't have it idle too high because it's a CVT. So we don't want, this has to be slowed down at a certain speed in order to shift gears. So I think the idle's a touch high yet. I can turn it down. Let's just let it run for a bit. I got the new air filter on it and everything now, so we're gonna go test run it and just kind of make sure everything's kind of working as it should and see what this thing can do. I'm gonna go ahead and grease the bearings though real quick because I haven't done that yet. We got our first snow here for this fall. It might make a cool little video, we'll see. But I want to make sure while I'm test running this. So this brake lever, like I said, wasn't working. I took the caliper apart, and it was a broken seal. And then I played with it for a bit. Well, I think I maybe accidentally leaned on this lever and wasn't really realizing it. And I blew out the seal again, just sitting there. So I just split it. I just put a new seal in it again. We're gonna test run it, and hopefully the seal works. If it don't, I don't know if I need a stronger seal for some reason. It's just a little O-ring that's in there. I need to put the brake clean on that. speed. Yeah, let's not do that. Once it gets in neutral, it likes to accelerate. I'm wondering if we got maybe a slight air leak. It's running fine. Running pretty good for the most part. It is running pretty good for the most part. I think the low speed jet on the carburetor could be used, maybe touch cleaned up again. So maybe I'll work on that. But I think it's pretty fun, actually. I'll clean up the right brake a little bit more. It's getting better. And then Now I now see why they have a fan on that brake calipers. So I'm pretty happy how it turned out. Got to make some fine adjustments to it, but that's all the owner wanted me to do to it. So I clean it up a little bit and ship it down the road. That was fun. I've always wanted one of these, and I'm glad I finally got to enjoy it. But yeah, hope you guys like these videos. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm putting these out as fast as I can. It's snowmobile season's coming up, so hopefully we actually get some snow for once. It's been pretty lackluster the last several years, so if it's gonna be a bad season, then I think it's just time to get rid of the snowmobile and maybe just get out of that sport altogether. Unfortunately, there's no sense of having a sled if you can't use it. So if you guys need anything fabricated, welded, or small engine repairs, hit us up at Cutting Edge Fab. I have all the links down below. If you guys are interested in our products, Kamimoto, RPM exhaust, I have discount codes down below for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy the content, and we will see you guys in the next one.